Hello people, so I'm doing a review of the new Jordan Peele film, Nope. I was very excited to see this film. This is one of my most anticipated films of the year, and I just think Jordan Peele's a really good thriller director. Get Out is one of my favorite thrillers of all time. Us, I think, is quite good. I just have my issues where they place the comedy almost throughout the whole entire movie. I think the comedy placement was really off in Us, and sadly prevented it from being like a amazing movie to me, but I still think it's a good movie. And so this movie, I was curious to see if they would fix that, and overall I'm happy to say that they did. And I didn't find this movie particularly scary, but I don't find really any of the Jordan Peele horror films scary. I really just admire his films just by like how tightly directed they are, how well edited, just the pure filmmaking of all three of these movies are just mind-blowing. And so and this movie is obviously no different, and I would definitely say that this is his best directed and best looking film. And this is not my favorite of his films. I still like Get Out the most of his three films, and I think I like this more than Us, and I feel like on a repeat viewing I could like this movie quite a bit more. And I gave it I'm not, obviously you won't know my score to the end of the review, but I don't see myself giving it a lower score upon rewatch. I can really think this movie can only get better, because I only have one problem with this movie, and it's that there's one character that just didn't have to be in the movie. He just didn't have to be in it, and I feel like most people won't know who I'm talking about if you've seen the movie, but it was just he or she showed up towards the end, and I was just like, you don't need to be here, particularly how he or she, how the character just kind of wraps up. I was just kind of like, I was kind of left unsatisfied with that character. So that's it. But this cast is stacked. Well, we have Steven Yeun. Well, it's not like we have a big cast, but the big playing roles in this film are pretty good actors. Steven Yeun, I think I've watched him since The Walking Dead. He's a phenomenal actor. Deanna Kaluuya, phenomenal actor as well. Keke Palmer, she was the star of this film, and I will say her character could come off as slightly annoying sometimes, but I feel like that was the intention, because it's just her personality. She brought so much personality and life to this role, and yet really sold the serious scenes as well, and did a really good job at that. The cinematography for this film, like I said, it is Jordan Peele's best directed film. It's as well his best looking film, and that's mostly due to they brought along cinematographer. I can't pronounce his first name, but I believe his last name is Hoytema. He's did cinematography for Interstellar, Dunkirk, Tenet. All three of those movies are like in my top 20 of all time. So with that, I was kind of under the impression, I was like, well, maybe Nolan just really peps up his cinematography style and makes it look that good, because I know all of them are Nolan films. But this movie proved me wrong. He is a really good cinematographer. Once this movie was over, I took my nephew to see this. And he's not a cinephile at all. He just, I just took him to see a movie, and so he looked at me. He's like, "That was a movie theater movie," and I was really impressed that he said that, because, I feel like that's mostly due to the cinematography of this film. Everything feels big, and this is an IMAX must-see, by the way. Everything, you feel the scale of everything. Everything feels like you're there. And that's the IMAX aspect ratio in IMAX cameras, and a good cinematographer can really just do a great job at doing it. The score, I really love the score to Us. It was actually one of my favorite things about Us. I loved the score to Us. I didn't think this score was better, and I don't particularly remember it, but I don't remember it being bad. I just didn't remember it like I remembered the score from Us. And yeah, the first half of this film is, some people might find boring. I wasn't bored while watching it. It was just slower paced compared to the second half of this film. And it could have been actually the last act. I am usually pretty good. Well, I'm pretty dumb with telling how a movie's paced, if that makes sense. So what I do whenever I see a movie for the first time, in the movie theater, I have my Apple Watch on me, and I'm usually able to tell, I usually know how, what part of the movie we're at just by looking at the time. And so my Apple Watch died, and I was just kind of blind. I was like, I'm pretty sure there was the first half that was like, slower than the second half. So usually I'm pretty detailed about how the movie's paced, but this time around I can't really provide that information because I didn't have the time on me, and yeah. But as I was saying, the first half sets everything up. And so, like I said earlier, there's one character in this film that I didn't feel like got justice in the second half. And so little things in that first half might not hold up like some other things will, but I feel like the movie can only get better amongst me rewatching it. I feel like I can only like this movie more. While when I saw Us for the first time, I was more so frustrated watching it for the first time, and then the second time I watched it, I liked it more, appreciated it more, and then like the third time I watched it, it started irritating me again. So Us, I'm kind of like, I was kind of like playing tug of war with it, and this film, I can only see myself liking it more, and that's mostly due just to how well made this one is. And they didn't do the awfully timed comedy. There is comedy, but it wasn't as funny as his other films, and it was pretty well timed. There's a couple jokes that felt pretty flat, but overall I thought it was funny where the jokes were. And he did find a very good balance between horror and jokes. There are a couple sequences in this film that did have me quite tensed up, but it wasn't throughout the whole entire duration. And so when I say I don't find his movies scary, that means I wasn't like riveted throughout like some horror films do to you. So this one had a couple sequences that made me go, oh god, what's happening here? But overall I wasn't like, oh god, this movie needs to be over. But I will say there are a couple jump scares that had me jump a little bit. There's a couple of really, really good jump scares, particularly with this thing that they do with things falling from the sky. Do a pretty clever job of doing that, and that's the most I'll get into it. Daniel Kaluuya and Keke Palmer are the stars of this film. Kaluuya, he did a pretty good job. His character is very quiet, and I will say I don't think the characters this time around were as complex as his other films, but it didn't hold the movie back in any way. But even though this movie, I believe, is his longest film yet, it did have a lot to do visually and with its and just showing off how good this movie can look. So I didn't mind that these characters, they weren't thin characters. It just wasn't as complex as the characters in Us or Get Out. But overall, there's a lot of things I want to talk about, but this is a very spoilery movie. I will say when it comes to the latter half of the movie, I was very entertained, and I was in pure awe of the spectacle and surprised the amount of CG that they had in this. And the CG that they did have was very, very good for this kind of film. And some of the things that they do at the end is very trippy. And yeah, there's a lot of things in here that have me cringe when it comes to like scenery and how they showed it. But overall, I don't want to sound like I'm discrediting the movie at the beginning when I said it wasn't scary. These movies, I'm not like gonna walk away from this movie scared and not being able to sleep at night like a movie like Hereditary did to me. When me and my nephew walked out of the movie theater, it was very cloudy outside, and it was actually starting to drizzle, and then it kind of like it had us laughing because it instantly made us think of the movie. And there's a lot of subtleties that this movie did that really puts you in that situational type of feeling of looking up at the sky, and really made you feel not safe, because the scale of what they want to do with the UFOs is so big. You didn't feel safe in the house, you didn't feel really safe anywhere because how big everything felt. But yeah, I overall quite enjoyed this movie. Still, I like Get Out the most, but I don't think they'll actually. I feel like Get Out is like really like maybe a little unbeatable. Maybe Peele set the bar so high, but I will see every single one of this guy's movies in theaters if he doesn't even top Get Out. I'm happy with this movie. I am overjoyed how much I liked it. But my number one thing is I need to watch it again. This is a movie, you got to watch it again, because I feel so weird reviewing this right now without giving it a second watch. I feel like I can give a much stronger opinion on second watch, because I don't want to come off as wishy-washy, because most of my problems revolve around, well, not problems, but most of the things I'm like, I don't know about, just require me to watch it again. So I'm gonna give Nope an 8.7 out of 10. And yeah, it's my favorite horror film of the year so far, and horror thriller. Even though it's not the scariest movie of the year. There's this one movie I watched on Netflix, Incantion, that scared the crap out of me, but it wasn't like, this is a much better film than Incantion. So yeah. Anyways, comment down below what you guys thought of Nope. Do you guys need to see it again like me, or am I just or just bad with it, going to the movies without wearing a watch? So yeah, like, share, subscribe, and stuff like that, and adios.